Well, great is this mystery whenever I make the claim of the immortal life, that human beings are immortal, that you are actually an immortal being. You may wonder, you may question my sanity, because you don't understand why I'm making these claims. Everywhere you see people die. To us, they are dead, they are gone, but to their own consciousness, they are not gone. To them, life goes on, but in a different world altogether, in a different dimension, so to speak. So again, you may be wondering, why am I making these claims? How did I actually came to this awareness, or at least to this point that I'm even making these claims? Well, I mentioned in previous recordings as well, they come about through inner revelations of the mind. So I'm quite literally telling you right here that what happened to me and still happens is based on what I have experienced inside of my own mind. So when I go to sleep at night, I awaken in different dimensions of my own being, and there I see symbolism take place. I see all sorts of scenarios take place that hold a different meaning concerning my own consciousness, and so it is with your dreams. They also hold a symbolism, a certain meaning about your own state of consciousness. So sometimes when I go to sleep at night, and this doesn't happen every night as of yet, but I know that is the ultimate destiny, to awaken fully and then operate from that dimension, and all things are possible over there when I'm awake. Well, what happens to me is that I've had a couple of revelations going on like this, and they keep on happening. It becomes more and more intense. So I go to sleep at night and I might suddenly be in a world that is quite different than this place. I will share with you a vision I have had a few months ago that I have written about in, well, I actually, now that I think of it, I don't think I even wrote about it in one of my books. I might do it in a future book if I really wanted to, but it's more interesting to just tell you out loud. Well, in this vision, in this dream, in this other dimension of my being, I was aware that this was not on Earth. I was in a forest. You could say it was like a forest of bamboo. That's how I would describe it, at least when it comes down to the actual nature that was surrounding me. And in that place I saw a woman. And now physically I didn't recognize her, but something inside of me told me that that is my mother, who passed away in 2008. So I walked up to that woman and I asked her, "Mother, is that you?" This woman looked at me, and she was fairly young. That's why I also make the claim, when you drop dead, you are instantly restored into a young body, because I have seen this happen with my own eyes. Now this woman told me, "Hello Renil, how is it going?" So basically confirming that yes, that was my mother, apparently, in a different form. So I told her, "I thought you were dead. How is this possible?" And then she told me, "They have given me new life." And then I awoke. It was a short vision. Now it might not mean anything to you, but it means a lot to me. Because who is giving them new life? Who is giving you your life? Who is the creator of your consciousness? Well, that is a great mystery. That is what humankind calls God, or in all sorts of religions they have certain terms. Brahman, God, Allah, whatever you want to call this being that created the universe, that created the consciousness that we are using in order to operate. Well, great is the mystery too when they made the claim that this same God became a humanity so that humanity may awaken as a God. Well, that doesn't give you a God complex if you actually understand it in the right way. Because what I observed in that vision, and this is just one of those visions, I've had many more that were different but held symbolic meanings as well. This showed to me that it is true, there is an existence beyond this world, and we enter this place every night when we go to sleep. In fact, scientists agree that they don't really have a clear indication as to why we need to sleep. They look at it purely from the physical side of life, and the brain itself creates a certain substance. Well, that's not really the real term, I'm not really focused on scientific terms in my life, but there's certain terms that they have, like that the brain releases, that I'm not really familiar with, so I didn't remember it. But there is something in the brain that causes us to become sleepy, and then we go to sleep at night. So after being awake for a certain amount of hours, we notice we get tired and we want to go to sleep. Well, I'm of the opinion that this is for a divine reason. The desire, even if humanity can't really grasp why we have to sleep, well, this is why I call it divine reason, because it causes our consciousness to temporarily detach from the physical life, because if that would never happen, you would go literally insane. If your consciousness is unable to detach itself from this world that you're currently living in, well, it would become unbearable. It would be the most insane form of torture that you would ever experience in your life. Well, they have given her a new life. Who gave her new life? Well, that is our own consciousness that we, or at least sleeping humanity, calls God. Your own consciousness is giving you your life, the sort of life that you are having right now. But as long as you're not aware of your own consciousness and how it operates, you're living in total reactionary mode to what you're observing outside of yourself. So in this physical life, we react to what's going on around us, but in the dream world, we're still reacting to what's going on around us. Unless we are aware that we can direct our own consciousness, then everything shifts. Now in the dream world, literally everything becomes possible. You can fly. I've done that. I remember another vision. I saw two people and I told them, can you tell me how to fly? And they looked at me like I was insane. But I knew I was dreaming. It was just a test to see how would these beings that I observe here respond. Well, just like in the real world right now, if I would ask you, can you tell me how to fly into the air? You would probably think I'm insane, because I'm talking about flying without an airplane, right? Literally levitating into the air with my body. You would think I'm insane, and it's also not according to the literal rules of this dimension that we're currently operating from. It is not possible because of gravity and other rules that nature put into place. Well, in that vision, in that dream world, in that other dimension, then came the voice from the depths of my own being, and they told me, if you can feel you can fly through your entire being, then you will. So I was like, okay, let me just assume and feel that I can fly. And that's when it happened. I went up into the air and these people saw it happening and they were shocked. They were actually scared. I don't think they ever saw a person flying like how we would be shocked in this world if somebody suddenly levitates and it's not a trick, not an illusion. They actually levitate. It would be quite shocking indeed, because they would literally break the rules of gravity altogether. Well, over there, I flew up into the air, overlooked this entire world that I was seeing, and then I awoke. But again, it held a symbolic meaning, because in this world right now, if I can feel that something is true, if I can feel that I can really do it with my entire being, then it becomes possible. Now, I try to do the same thing in the dream. If I can literally feel that I can fly, well, I have to disappoint you here. I cannot fly, because again, this is a different sort of dimension. These dimensions seem to also operate with their own little strange rules compared to the physical life and the spiritual life. There's a huge difference in how our consciousness actually operates. But the similarity here is that in both worlds, we're constantly living in reactionary modes. But the beauty and the goal in life is to live in a creative mode, to become aware of what's going on and then to direct the whole thing from within. So then, when you are actually non-stop awake, this is your destiny, your ultimate spiritual destiny, you will become conscious of this power non-stop. Well, then, if your body dies, you can't even comprehend it, but you enter a world where you can do and have whatever you want for all of eternity. Now, that is a claim that is beyond mortal mind, but that is what is being shown to me as time goes on. You know, so many wonderful things are happening, and I'm compelled to tell it to the world in order to hopefully give some hope to others out there who are struggling, who are trying to figure out the meaning of their lives and their own consciousness in some way. They might not describe it as I want to know the meaning of my own consciousness. They're just struggling and they want to know how to overcome it all, and they want to know the meaning behind it all. Well, the meaning is going to be shown to you in the same way as it is shown to me. The visions you'll have inside of your own mind will be different. Of course, you won't go to sleep and suddenly meet my mother, for example. You might experience different sorts of visions, but they're all aiming to awaken you, to wake you up from this nightmare, so you start to direct your own consciousness and learn to become a universal creative spirit itself. In other words, a life-giving spirit. You give life to your own dreams, to your own desires, and you live surrounded by those desires in that dimension. Now that is why I claim people to be immortal, based on these inner revelations. Now there is no way I can take you by the hand and show you exactly what I experienced. This is for you to experience in your own time, in your own way, when you are ready. But I can promise you this much, you will experience it sooner or later. you will find that you will become so dissatisfied with this physical life. Maybe not in this lifetime, but eventually you will become so dissatisfied with not knowing who you are and what you're capable of doing. And that is when you can start to look inwardly to watch the real truth of your own being, because that is where all your power resides.